Profitable practices. Farm solutions for people, profit, and the planet on Real Agriculture is brought to you by Farm Credit Canada and RBC Royal Bank.
Hi, I'm Bernard Tobin. Welcome to Profitable Practices. Today we're going to talk rotational grazing and cover crops with Mike Swidersky from the Riverview Ranch. Sir, how's it going?
It's great to be with you today.
Well, hey, thank you for the invitation, and we've got lots of friends along for the video here. Now, Mike, I want to talk about profitability and sustainability, but before we do that, hey, tell us a little bit about the operation. We're up in the Ontario Highlands.
Yeah, so myself, my wife Amber, and my son Warren and my daughter Grace, who are now in their late teens and early 20s. We've been here since the early 2000s. We're a startup operation, and kind of where we are today is we've got a flock of about 650 ewes that we lamb on once a year on pasture, and we custom graze some stockers, and I manage the Grey Dufferin community pasture. Yeah, so it's a pasture operation 100%. I don't grow crops. I don't even make hay.
Yeah, but you work with cover crops, and this is what I want to talk about today. Is an arrangement you've got with some cash croppers in the area. Yep. Where you're grazing their cover crops on their cropland. Talk about how that came about. What are the objectives?
Yeah, so I think how it originally came about was probably 15 years ago. It was a dry year, a lot like the year we're in now, and it was kind of searching for some forage in the fall, and it's evolved from that point where it was originally, let's see what happens between me and a neighbor, and now it is a planned event every year with a couple different progressive cropping neighbors, and we look at the benefits to both of us. Yeah. It's good quality feed that I can't duplicate with my perennial pastures, and so it allows me to leverage them, graze them late in the year, close to Christmas time, and graze the cattle longer. Yeah. The sheep get moved initially onto red clover for about 60 days, so September, October. Then we'll move off of the clover onto oats and peas and graze that up until I get too tired and it gets too snowy.
Yeah. Now this is a winter wheat field, right?
Yes.
Underseeded with red clover. That is the combination, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, and it's red clover is something that a lot of people stay away from when it comes to grazing. There's a fear that your sheep won't breed due to the estrogen factor in the clover, and you'll kill them with bloat. And I'm not seeing either of those things. It is really excellent feed for both dry ewes, getting them back into condition, and on the lamb side we graze lambs as well, and I can get feedlot type gains on my lambs on the red clover.
So let's talk about the rotation here, Mike. Tell me about how you move these ewes across the field. We've got about 200 acres, right?
Yeah, so that's correct, 200 acres here, and so yeah, I would set up some net, which I do use with our farms around home as well in the summer. So the sheep are used to the fencing, the dogs are used to the fencing. Yeah, so I set up enough netting for about 3 days, and that gives me enough flexibility to get other things done on the farm as well. And yeah, we just leapfrog across the farm, and if we have to go farther, I grab the border collie dogs, and we can move anywhere I want.
Yeah. Now talk about the impact on your feed here. Now you're going to be here until basically November. That's a pretty substantial contribution from a feed perspective.
Absolutely, and it's a contribution both in quality and quantity. So it's 100. I expect to graze 110, 120 days on cover crops this year. So that's almost a typical grazing season here in Ontario for a lot of people. So we've basically doubled that. So that allows me to expand our operation. Land is becoming difficult to own, let alone rent. And so for both me and crop farmers. So it allows both of us to leverage some of the price of land ownership, land rental, and share it a little bit amongst the two of us.
What about the bottom line, Mike? I mean, all that feed. I mean, like it's got to have an impact on your profitability.
Absolutely, and you know, recently going through financials with the bank, like how do I put a price on 120 days worth of feed? That's not something that is traditionally done. So yeah, it is massive. It is really good for me, especially on that lamb side, because if I'm buying in tractor trailer loads of grain as opposed to grazing it, which it's fairly equivalent in quality for me, those numbers are big.
Yeah. Talk more about your partners. Obviously, from a perspective of your cash crop farming partners, they're getting a lot out of this too. I mean, obviously, soil health. There's weed control. There's fall cover, winter cover.
Yeah, and a lot of that has been anecdotal, right? And some of the farmer I've worked with the longest, yeah, he's seen a couple years that their following corn crop was their best crop of corn, and it should not have been. It was not on the first planted. It was not on the best land. So they're seeing pluses and yield increases, and it's hard to know sometimes exactly what that is. We're planning on leaving a check strip on this farm. We're doing a project with Living Labs Ontario with our oats and peas that will look at some of the benefits. Is there any benefits, or is there some negative things? Yeah. I think, I see on my own farm operation, in the 20 years we've been on that farm, we've raised organic matters 3% plus. On the cropping side, if you look at historical data, the organic matter is decreasing. I don't know that I would say pretty certain that the farmers I'm working with, that isn't the case, right, which is probably why they're willing to work with me, so that that we see things go in a forward direction.
Final question for you, and that is about sustainability. I mean, you talked about your young family. You've been here 20 years. You want to stay here longer. How does an operation, an arrangement like this, what's the impact on the future of this farm?
Well, yeah, and my thought is that my sheep are pretty mobile, that I can hopefully continue to do things like this, and then maybe the next generation they can take over over the home farm and do the things they want to do. It's probably not going to be the same things that I'm doing, and it's just opportunity.
Yeah, looking for opportunities, looking for new ideas. Mike, appreciate you making some time for Real Agriculture and Profitable Practices.
It's great to be here.